Hello, everyone, and once again, welcome to the Salesforce Sphere. Salesforce Sphere basically is one dedicated YouTube channel to helping you out to master the world of Salesforce. So it really doesn't matter whether you are starting your Salesforce journey or maybe you are enhancing your Salesforce expertise. This channel has something for everyone. So hit that subscribe button and join our community of learners and do it by today only. As you can see, we have created different playlists and they are designed to make your learning easy and efficient. So with this, the Salesforce admin, so you can learn the fundamental skills, the non-coding portion of the Salesforce, which are used so as to manage and to customize the products that we built up for our clients. Similarly, with the development, this one, with all of the videos inside in this, there are almost like 69 videos. You can deep dive into Apex, Visual Force, and some of the advanced customizing concepts like the asynchronous programming, the batch classes, the test classes, things like that. They are being covered inside in this. On the other hand, deployment, this playlist. So this is being curated so that you would understand what does it means by the deployment, what does it means by the migrations of the codes, the migrations of the modules that is being created in one environment, and how to make them migrated to some other environments. This will also let you understand like what does it means by the sandboxes, what is the significance of a sandboxes while we are doing the developments, and how things can be moved from one sandbox to other sandbox till the production, so that everything have been explained inside and over here. With the Salesforce integration, this one, you can understand, you can explore how the Salesforce environment is getting connected with the external systems using APIs, using middlewares and all. And now the very new is understanding the Lightning Web component. So this is a step-by-step tutorials so as to build up the modern and the dynamic user interfaces. All right, once again, don't forget to check out our playlist. And if you really wanted to stay connected, you can subscribe to our channel. Let me come to today's portion. In my last video, I have started the concepts of, I have rather completed the concept of the commonly used looping techniques inside in the JavaScript. So as a part of this, what we have learned was the conventional for loop, this one. Later on, for off loop, and finally for in loop, which is this one. I have also explained under which programming situation we can go with for off loop or rather for in loop. We also have covered how particularly for in loop will bring you some of the advantages as compared to for off. Now, today's agenda, which I have planned, and I will be trying to finish that within next 30 minutes. First is the arrow function, and later on, I will also try to complete. There's a difference between comparison between double equals to and triple equals to. So one of my viewer has asked me that they have seen in most of the code of LWC, sometimes double equals to is being used for the comparison and for sometimes triple equals to is used. So basically, when we are using when we are using double equals to and triple equals to, what is the difference between them? I'll also try to cover up one another topic, and that is a comparison between uh, undefined and null. All right, so this will be today's agenda. This is my plan to cover in this video. Let me start with arrow function first. See, arrow function actually is a new thing, and it is introduced in ES6, ECMA 6. So pretty much new thing which has been latestly introduced in your LWC, rather JavaScript. And so what is the use of an arrow function? So basically it is used to, it is used to shorten the function expressions. The kind of syntax what we used to write down for the function, it is used to optimize that. So with the arrow function, it gives you a concise way, gives you a shortened way, it gives you a minimized way to write the function. And this has been recently introduced. Like prior to ECMA 6, prior to ES6 standards, it was not there. So this has been recently introduced. And see, whenever something comes recently, we should also make ourselves, we should also make ourselves to start using that. That is how that is how you can stay connected with the recent programming advantages. This is how to learn the things. So basically, this ECMA 6 was not there. It was not there prior to ES6, but they have been recently introduced. So it is useful for writing the concise function expressions, and it also gives you a whole new way of handling this function in the context of more predictably compared to your regular functions. And let me show you how exactly this everything whatever I was saying has been done. So first of all, let me show you what is a syntax. How does an arrow function looks like to be? So let's suppose if I have a variable, I could also use let, I could also use the constant. And in my all videos, I have told you that in a coming future, I'm going to talk about the comparison between variables and let keyword. If you're defining a variable with var, for defining it with the let, or if you're defining a constant, what are difference between them? Otherwise, you can definitely go and find it by yourself. The forum is obviously open for a discussion and everything. So I'm defining a constant or maybe a function or a variable. Let me say that variable, what should I give it? Oh, there's something. Let me define a constant at this moment. So what I'm talking about is the function. Is the syntax. How does arrow function looks like to be? So the first thing is like you can add at the very first point. At the very first point, you can define as a constant. You can define a variable. You can define let. Okay. In short, in a simple word, you have to define a property, right? What you can do is you can define a property. Now the next thing which comes in line is the function name. The next thing which comes in the line is what? Is the function name. After the function name, you have to write down an equals to. Then you have to give your parameters. Okay, you have to give the parameters. After that, closing bracket. See, this is syntax. If you are feeling that this seems to be a little complicated, don't worry. Syntax just always looks like the same. Once we start taking the example, this would be explained in a more elaborated way, I could say. All right. So just see the syntax, how does actually it looks like, and then we're going to take some of the examples based on the functions and everything, with the parameters, without the parameters, like way. Then you'll have to write down the symbol like equals to and this greater than less than symbol. I think it is greater than, yeah. Then opening and closing curly bracket, and here actually goes your function body. This is how it looks like to be. Yeah, this is how it looks like to be. So this is a syntax of your arrow function. This is the syntax of your arrow function. Let me try commenting out this first, and according to this syntax, let me take a few examples so that it would serve a better understanding for all of us, right? So I would be taking a few examples. The first example would be a basic one. So let me have a basic arrow function, which could be as simple as like this one, right? If you can see over here, what we did is like I just have created a property by using constant, could be variable, var, could also be let. Now, second thing would be a function name. So it is a user-defined name for a function. It is a user-defined name. So I created a function called as my function. I created a function called as my function. And then equals to, and this symbol. Actually, see this symbol when compiler would see this, it would understand that my function, this property actually is a function. It is not a variable. It is not an array. It is not an object. Rather, this my function, this statement, my function represents a function. So this statement, this whole statement, when compiler would parse this internally, it would understand, okay, that's my function equals to what? Equals to function. Everywhere in lot many programmings, if you have an idea with some other programming languages, whatever it is, whether it's object-oriented programming, procedure-oriented programming, whatever it is. Normally, normally this opening and closing round bracket actually represents a function. So this is pretty much simple. This is pretty much simple for compiler and for us also, that the syntax looks like to be this. So when internally compiler would parse out this statement, so he would understand, okay, this my function equals to a function. That means this is a function. In a more technical word, I could say this defines a function. This defines a function. And then this is the arrow keyword. This is the arrow function. This is the way to write down the arrow equals to and this symbol. Okay, so this is the arrow function. And then opening and closing curly bracket, as I have stated like this. Then whatever the function body, whatever you wanted to include this inside in this parenthesis. What I did, I just have written a small hello world. And let me do one thing. Let me first of all save this code. And I shall do one more thing. I'll try to bring the output on the same. So let me bring up, let me partitionize this window a little bit so that we can see the output. We can see the output in the same. And what is happening? Oh, yeah. All right. And now, yeah, I'll go and launch the live server so that we could see the output simultaneously as we type it over here. Okay, so and let me do one more thing. Let me comment out all of the previous code that I have written in my previous videos. Okay, okay. One more thing. How did I did this? Like I just have selected all the statement. Let me do it. Let me show you like how I'm doing. So what I did is like if you wanted to comment out the multiple statement, the simple way to do that is like select whatever you wanted to comment. I wanted to comment it out till over here, right? So once you have selected all of these statements, what you have to do from your keyboard, you'll have to press control button. Okay, there are two control button, anyone you can press for this. And then this backslash symbol, this one, we actually use it for commenting a single line statement. So control plus that backslash would eventually comment out all of the statement that you have already been selected. Okay, so this is the way a shortcut way to comment out multiple statements. Now, let me save out this code and see what happens with the live server. Let me open the inspect window over here so that simultaneously we could see the output, right? And This is the maximum that could be maximized. Anyways, I will save it out. Right now, it's not saved. You can see a white dot symbol that actually indicate a code haven't been saved. And once you save it over here, you can directly see the output going to change in the console portion. Let me save this one. And it should ideally show me the output. Let me try refreshing out. In multiple times, I have shown you like, this is one of the caching difficulties that usually we get with the live server. I can see, and this happens almost in every time whenever I start this live server for the first time. It happens. It happens. You don't have to worry about a lot of this. You just would have to close it out, and once again you would have to launch your servers. This is the way clear the cache. Control Shift R is the shortcut to clear the cache, and then you can again go and you can launch the live server. This is how like I usually do it. So live reloaded is enabled. Let me now, this should ideally print. Oh, why it is not printing? Because I haven't called the function. I haven't called the function. So let me do one thing. Let me try making a few changes over here so that I could show you like how exactly we can print the output. Instead of function, let me define a property. Well, actually, it's going to be a function. So I have defining a name called as add, and let me give the parameter so that we could understand. We could get the outputs and everything. So I have defined another property, one function actually called as add, and to this add, I am giving like. Mm, Let me try to think whether I can give. Uh, let's do one thing. Just a moment. I was thinking like, instead of giving function, okay, I shall do one thing. Let me give two properties, I mean, two parameters to this. So I'm giving like num1 as my first parameter and num2 as the second parameter, right? So instead of having no parameters inside in this function, a function called as add, you can give any function name. I just have replaced because I wanted to perform the addition with this example. So I have replaced the name with add. I created a function. Add equals to this means a function. Add is now being defined as a function that is going to have two parameters, right? Now this statement would tell the compiler that see add is a function. Add first of all is a function. Add equals to function. And the function, what is the signature of this function? The function has two parameters. And then comes your arrow. Then comes your arrow function. Now inside in this bracket, and let me remove the console dot statement, and I shall create a body. I shall create a body. I can go with this. I can go with this suggestion. It would eventually give me num1 plus num2, and let me try changing this little bit. So if num, let's suppose if num2, if the value of num2 has been given, if the value of num2 has been given, mm, then let sum equals to num1 plus num2, and then I would be returning this sum. I would be returning sum. Okay. So what I'm presenting right now is like a function called as add, simple function. It would going to accept two parameters. The first parameter will be stored inside num1, otherwise the second parameter would be going to store inside num2. So if while supplying the parameters to this function, if you have given the value of num2, if you have given the value of num2, it would perform the addition. It would perform the addition, and the addition will going to get stored inside another variable called as sum, and we are returning the value of sum. Else, 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 if this is not been done, right? If this is not been done, you're going to return num1 or maybe null you can return, whatever, right? So now let me try saving out this code. Or before that, yeah. So this what I have created, I just have created one arrow function. Now the time is to call that function. If I wanted to see the output, we'll have to call the function. Which function? Add function. And while calling the function, you can give the parameters accordingly. You have situations which are being handled by the if and else. Okay, let's see. Let's see how we can call. If I'm missing out something, I need to check this out. But in my opinion, this curly bracket must also have a closing. I mean a semicolon. Let's see if it would give an out, if it give an error or whatever. So let me create one more variable like calculation result. And let's suppose that cal result will going to have, let me call out this function inside in this. So I'm going to do one thing, call result will equals to, let me call the function called as add, which we have defined over here, right? I'm calling a function add over here, and this time I'm passing the value. Any values can be passed, so let me give the value like 2 and 3, and then semicolon. Now after that, I will I will print up a simple console log statement. I'm not going with the intelligent what it was giving to me. So console.log, a simple way. Let me just print out. Let me just print cal result. Okay. So I would be printing that cal result. Let's see what is going to be the output in this case. Okay. Before looking into the output, let me try explaining you this once again. So basically what I did, I have created one property. I have created one property. First of all, listen this and listen this gradually so you are going to understand it in a better form. So what I have declared, I had declared a property. When saying a property, property is a generalized word. In the JavaScript, in the LWC, whatever we define, usually we call this as a property. So property is a very general term. It could mean a single variable, could also mean collection variable, could also mean the arrays, could also mean the function. It could also refer to the objects, right? So property means a general word. And how to define that property? We have different ways to define it. You can use let, you can use like, see, I have used let. Let also means you're defining a property. I have used constants, unst const. That also means you're defining a property. You can also use something called as var, variable. The short form of variable is var, right? So these are the different ways to define the property. Now, a property called as add. Later on, when compiler would see this statement, it would understand, okay, fine, add is now a function. Why? Because add equals to what? Opening and closing brackets, round brackets. And it is a type of function which actually accepts two parameters. It is a function, the signature. This is called as a signature. What is the return type of this function? How many parameters have been accepted by this function? This everything is called as function's signature. Anyways, so it would accept two parameters. Now I have, instead of writing a general way of writing function, I have used arrow function. So an arrow function with opening and closing curly bracket, and this is I'll have to check it out whether the brackets are always have to close like this. We're going to test it out. And now inside in this, I have entered one condition. You can make it simple as you wanted. You can use a simple console would also going to work in this case. A simple hello world would also going to work. But then you'll have to call the function. That was the first thing which I was trying to do. But now with this example, what I'm doing is like, I'm checking out whether there's a second parameter is present or not. If the second parameter is present, then it will going to perform the addition of these two numbers, whatever you would supply. As in this case, while calling the add function, we are actually passing two parameters, right? I will do one more thing. Let me extend this out so that you would understand, you're going to have a glimpse of both of this. So now I will make this cal result 1. And this time I'm just giving one parameter. Let me give only one parameter. Okay. So these are two separate cases. I haven't saved it out. Once I'll save it out, you're going to see the output at this window on the console window. So I have entered one condition over here that if it would contain num2. Again, this is a user defined. You don't have to go with the same example. You can build up your own example, no problem. If the value of num2 is there, then like in this example, you can see there's num1. Num1 values is 2 and num2 is 3. So there is num2. The value, the variable, there's a second parameter is also present. So if that second parameter is present, it will perform the addition of both of them, and then it will going to store the result inside a variable, inside a property called as sum. And then it would return that sum, right? It would return that sum. Okay, it would return that sum. That sum, that sum is eventually is going to be stored inside in cal result. When you're calling this function add, when you're calling this function add, control actually, control would transfer. It would take these two parameters, control would transfer to this function add. Okay. This value 2 will going to assign to get num1. The value 3 is going to be get assigned to this, right? It would going to assign to this num3 and then, right? So it would going to check the condition. If num2 has a value, yes, num2 has a value. The num2 has been assigned as what? 3, right? So it will perform this addition. Like 2 plus 3, 5, right? That 5 value is going to get stored in the sum variable or property sum, and then it is going to be written. So whoever has called this function add, what is going to be written? The value of sum is going to return to that. So sum, because have the value 5, that 5 come inside over here. So for this console, what I am expecting the output as 5. Let's see what's going to happen with the second case, right? Let's see what is going to happen with the second case. Now, when the second time add is being getting called, result is going to get stored inside a new variable called as cal result1. It would have only one parameter. It would only have one parameter. I haven't written any more condition if there is no parameter. So that is what I was trying to say. You can definitely extend this based on whatever scenario you think it out. I'm just trying to keep it out simple. I can take a simple console.log also, but what I feel, let's take at least two circumstances you should understand. That's why I've taken this example. Anyways, now it has only one parameter. So that single parameter is going to be get assigned to the first variable num2. And then when it check for this condition, if num2, because num2 is null, there's no, it's not being assigned to any value, it's null value. So this condition would fail. So if it would fail, it would come to the else portion. And then what it is, it will return num1. So the value of num2 is actually, so the value of num1 is 2. So this cal result is being assigned to 2, and this time I am expecting 2, and this time I'm expecting, for this one, I'm expecting 5. Let's see, are we getting the same output? All right, let me clear out the drawings first of all. I have cleared the drawing, and I don't require this one. Just close it out. Let me come and save this. And we are getting 5 in both of the places. We are getting 5 result. Let me see why this is happening. Just give me a moment. Yeah, this is happening because I actually have printed this function. Rather, I should print out cal1, cal result1. That was, I mean, I have printed this property, the variable. That's why it was showing me the same output. I'll save this code once again. Now you can see as expected. The first is 5 and second is 2, right? The first output, this one is 5, whereas second output is 2. Okay, so that was like how you can use the arrow function, how the syntax of arrow function looks like to be. So this is one another way. This is one another way of using the functions, how the functions are being written in the JavaScript. So one new way, one shortened way of writing the function is like the arrow function. And with this example, you can take some more examples to make yourself more handy with this function. But this is how, like, how you can define a function, how you can make this property looks like to be a function, how you can make this property looks like to be a function without parameter, with parameter, and everything. And how this function, how this property would become an arrow function, what is the syntax of an arrow function, then everything, right? That is what we have covered. You can try out few more examples with this one. Let me try going ahead, and let's have let's try to understand the comparison between double equals to and triple equals to, because this is again a frequently used statements in the JavaScript. So if I would talk about, like, how does your double equals to is also a comparison operator, by the way, and triple equals to also is a comparison operator, by the way. No, basically, double equals to, when we have two variables or maybe two properties, if you would put double equals to between them, right? Num1 double equals to num2, something like this. So basically, it only checks for the value. It would going to check the equalities of the values. Whereas if you would replace it with the triple equals to, then it performs two checks. The first is value, second is data type. The first is value, whereas the second is data type. So it would eventually going to check for two things while you put three. And see, three equals to is always recommended. Three equals to, I'll first of all take one example so that you would understand a comparison between these two. What does it means by comparing only values? What does it means by comparing values along with data types? So I'll first of all take one example for this to make it clear, and then we're going to talk on which one is more recommended under the programming situation. So what I was talking about, like, is the double equals to, double is equals to actually checks, it would going to check equality of the values only, right? Equality of the values only. Whereas when saying triple equals to, it checks for the equality of the values as well as data type. Yeah, data type, right? I remove this suggestion, but this is what is accepted, right? So when we use double equals to, which is generally is not recommended unless you really wanted to compare the values only and you are ignoring data type, which is, I guess, is very rare under the real time programming situations. So normally what we use is something called as a triple equals to. So triple equals to, it actually checks for two things. Both of them, what is a common? Both of them are comparison operator. Both of them is used for performing the comparison between two variables, two values. But then there is a significant difference. What is that? If you would use double equals to, it would compare values only. I'm going to take one example to make it more clear. And when you use triple equals to, it would compare value along with data type. Let me show you how actually I'm projecting. So I'm defining two properties over here. Let's say num1, and I'm giving the value as 10. Whereas I'm defining another value called as num2, again 10, but that 10, if you would see, is enclosed within double inverted comma. This is this is the baseline of difference. This is the baseline of difference. So by the way, if I would ask you what is the value of num1 and num2, from the value point of view, both of them are same. Num1 also have value as 10. Num2 whereas also have value as 10. But what is the difference? Difference is the data type. If you would see num1 holds numerical 10. It is a numerical value. It's a number. It's a number. Whereas num2, because this value is being enclosed within your double inverted comma, as per data type, it actually means this is a string. This is a string, by the way. The value seems to be okay. Value seems to be same in both of the cases, but num2 actually, the data type is different. The data type is different. For num2, this value refers, if it's enclosed Within double inverted comma, it means it's a string. It is what? It is a string, right? So this is the difference. Let me now try printing this out, and this is going to, this is going to clear out the whole discussion. It will make the discussion to end. Console.log, console.log, and I'm not going with this suggestion. I will be printing my own. So let's suppose double equals, comparison. Double equals comparison. Yeah, this seems to be more good, more precise. And this is not it. Just let me make out uh, double equals comparison between num1 and num2. So here, between num1 and num2, you can see there is a double equals to. And here I would write down the triple. Triple equals comparison between num1 and num2, wherein between num and 1, 2, there is, right? Let's see what is going to be the output in both of the cases. So now I'm saving this out, and prior to saving, let me comment out this code again the same way, same thing. I will just copy this whole thing which I wanted to comment out. Control plus backslash would eventually comment out this whole statement. Fine. Let me recheck this again, console.log. The first statement double equals to comparison between num1 and num2. So between num1 and num2, I have put up a double equals to, which would only compare the value. Yeah, which would only compare the value. See, I am expecting true over here. I'm expecting true. For this statement, I am expecting true. Why true? Because double equals to would only compare the value. And from the value point of view, both of them hold 10. So for this statement, the first statement, I am expecting true. What I'm expecting? I am expecting true value. All right. Whereas for the second one, for the second console statement, I have written triple equals comparison, where in between num1 and num2, I have put up a triple equals to. And triple equals to, it would compare two things. It would compare two things: value along with data type. When it comes to check the value, it found it at same. But then there is an and statement. There is an and statement. See, value and data type. So what and actually refers to what? Both of the conditions has to be satisfied in order to get that true. So if this is like the values are same, this is true. This is true. But data type is false. True and with false. True and with false. If you have the idea of Boolean equations, it would going to yield out the false. So this statement will going to yield me false. Statement going to return what? False. And let's see now. Let's see now what happens. All right. So I will be saving this code. I'll be saving this code and see double equals comparison has given you true as we are expecting right over here. Whereas the triple equals to comparison has given you the false as we were expecting this, as we were expecting it, right? So this is what is the major difference between your double equals to and triple equals to. Now let me talk about what is used in most of the programming situation. We generally use triple equals to only. In most of the programming situation, we generally use triple equals to equal. Why? Because we wanted to compare the value along with the data type, and we wanted both of them has to be same. In most of the programming situation, whenever a comparison operator has to be used, we generally use triple equals to because it gives you two facilities. It provide you two facilities. It would check whether the values are same, whether the values are same. Additionally, it would also ensure that the data type should also be the same, right? And that is the reason, see, for this one, the value was same, but because the data type wasn't equal, data type was not same, data type was not identical, one of them is numerical, the another one is string. So it has written you false. This is what, again, in lot many programming situations, we generally use triple equals to, and which is something which is recommended in most of the cases. So this was being asked by one of my viewer. He commented me out so that can you elaborate the differences between double equals to and triple equals to, and that is why I have taken this topic. Now, one thing which I wanted to add this, because it is closely related to the one which we just have learned, is the comparison between undefined and null. And let me try to make it simple and quickly, because we are running out of time. So what is the difference between undefined? What is the difference between undefined and uh, there's a difference between undefined and null. So what I'm going to use, I would be, let me show you what let me first of all write it down so that I could explain it in terms console.log, and I will be printing, let's suppose num, because we already have used this num1 and num2, and so it is giving me the errors. Let me now use num3 and num4. Otherwise, I will have to go up and comment out those code. That's why it was showing me that red line. So if num3 double equals to num4, and similarly one more console statement, console.log. This time I would be using, I would be using your triple equals to, and let's see what is the output. So num3 triple equals to num4. Okay. Now let me try explaining this two statement, and we're going to see the output. So see, when you define a variable, when you define a property, when you define a variable could be defined, the properties could be defined using var, using let, and using constant, using constant. So gradually I have started using all of them, so that first of all you would become habitual to them, and later on, once I feel that we have taken a lot many examples wherein you have seen constant, let, and where, then we're going to talk about what is the difference between defining properties with let, var, and constant. We're going to talk it out, right? Anyways, so I have defined a variable, a property, num3 rather, but I haven't given that any value. This is something called as you have defined it. You declared this, but you haven't given any value. So when you will not give any value to a particular variable, to a particular property, then it is called as undefined. It is called as undefined. It is declared. This is declared, but not being defined. The num3, this is again an object-oriented concept. What is the difference between declaring and defining a variable, declaring and defining a property? So you have what you did over here with this statement, you have declared one variable, a variable called as num3. But then because you haven't supplied any value, it means you have undefined it. Whereas this statement, I can say I have declared and defined a variable. I have declared a variable called as num4, but I haven't given a value, but at least something is there. I have given something called as null. So this is a definition. This is defining a variable, but whereas this is not defining, it is declaring. So this is num3 is undefined. Num4 is not undefined, although it doesn't have any value. Still, it is not defined. It is not undefined. Why? Because there is null over here. There's null over here. Now see, there's one interesting thing what you are going to see with these two, and what it's going to be when you make a double equals to comparison. Double equals to only compares value, right? We just have talked on this. Double equals to only compares the value. So when this statement would be executed, it would eventually return true. It would eventually return me true. Why? Because according to the phenomenon of double equals to num3, what is the value of num3? There's nothing over here. What is the value of num4? There's nothing over. Does not means any value. First of all, null means null, but it does not means any value. Num3 doesn't have any value. Num4 doesn't have any value. So when num3 is compared with num4 using double equals to, when num3 is compared with num4 using double equals to, and because double equals to only see for the value, it does not find any value between them two, it will start assuming, oh, they are identical. And when they are identical, it will return true. Whereas if the same statement num3 is compared with num4, Num3 is compared with num4, but it is compared with what? Triple equals to. Now, triple equals to because it checks for two things, value along with data type. Num3 does not have any value. So it is undefined. Both on the value perspective, both of them are same, which is returning true. But on the data type perspective, num3 is undefined, num4 is null. Null means something is defined. At least it is not undefined. It does not have a value, but at least it have null. And by the way, type of null and type of undefined is not same. Type of undefined is different internally. When I'm saying type of is a function, internal JavaScript function. Type of undefined is different. Type of null is different. So data type of undefined and data type of null, they are not same. They are different. So based on that data type comparison, this statement would going to return us false. That is what is the expected output. And let's see this because I'm running out of the time. Let me first of all save this code. I'm clearing all the drawings. I'm closing this out and let me now save this code. See, the first statement would give you true, whereas second statement would give you the false. A clear differentiation between using your double equals to triple equals to, a clear differentiation between what is undefined, what is null. So from the value point of view, undefined and null are same, and that's why it is returning you true. Both of them does not have any value. Both of them does not have any value means they are same. So from value point of view, undefined and null are same. Whereas from data type point of view, when we take data type in consideration, they are different. So type of undefined and type of null are not same. Rather, they are different. So from data type point of view, undefined and null are not same. And that's the reason triple equals to has given you what? False. Okay. So that was for today. That was all for today. And please don't forget to subscribe us if you wanted to stay tuned. If you wanted that, you should get the notification with my upcoming videos, which right now I'm making on LWC. If you wanted to stay connected, then you can subscribe. If you like this whole efforts, then you can like, otherwise no. And what else to say would be like, stay connected. Yeah, one thing which I always request at the end of my video is to comment. Why? Because I wanted to understand if there is something which is lagging in this whole process. If you wanted me to make corrections on a certain point, if you wanted to rectify me, there's always a scope of learning. There's always a scope of improving the things, right? I myself wouldn't consider that I am very good in everything. I whatever I do it from the scratch. I am a believer of lifelong learning concept, so I can definitely learn from you guys also. So if you wanted something should more be included, please comment me out and please let me know what else I can do to help you out to understand this LWC concept. Thank you for joining me in this whole process. Have a great day ahead.